see it though.
Mm.
Oh no.
You still don't see it?
Now I do.
Like, she don't see us?
I forget. That's why I was asking if you're doing like which format you're doing, so I know.
Because we're live. For some reason, it still takes out my. It was the last part. I guess we got to try E flat next time. E flat.
That was E flat. No, I'm just kidding, y'all. I'd be saying that, but I really don't know like what. I don't know what the sounds are. I just like saying E flat. I think makes me laugh.
How are you doing?
I'm excited. How are you? It's Thursday. Market was up. How are you doing?
I'm feeling good, feeling great. You know, readily excited for tonight's episode, and let's get to it. What's up, everybody? I am Mark Monroe, accompanied by my wonderful co-host, co-producer, co-creator, and good friend, as well as rocking the wonderful yellow or is it yellow or is it maize?
It's actually like a goldenrod.
Oh, okay. Well, coming through regally up in this bad boy. Mm-hmm. Give it up for the wonderful
Jolene GC in the place to be. What does it, cousins?
And that's what's up. You said what?
It is. Oh, you gotta whisper it though. That's what's up. Oh. No, I'm just kidding. That will never not be funny. Right?
It will never not be funny. But you know what's also not funny?
What?
Why all those folks haven't hit the like button yet. If you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and hit the like button down below because we would totally appreciate it. And on top of that, if this is your first time checking out the Come Up series, welcome. Welcome. Have a seat. Get a pen and pad. And welcome. You may want to also have some water because we believe in staying hydrated as well. But out of all things, welcome. So subscribed. I think you've just done it right now. And then liked it. I think that we gotten that taken care of. If not, you know, we're going to give you a few minutes. This episode may also be a little bit interactive. So, you know, shout outs to the folks who also hit that bell today. So shout outs to Kwame for being number one in the chat. What's good? So Jolene, we got a jam-packed episode today. It's going to be super duper awesome. We get to talk about a wonderful journey that is just blossoming in front of our very own eyes. There may also be like some synergies as it pertains to a specific year, but we'll get into that later. But let's go ahead and knock out some of the general stuff out of the way, shall we?
Yes. Yo, so y'all, I hope that you all were paying attention to today's market happenings, the market shenanigans. Because, we have a day that's down and then it shoots back up and then it's just, October is pretty choppy. However, the Dow was up 534.75 points. The S&P 500 was up 74.46 points and the NASDAQ was up 251.79 points. And we have the VIX starting to simmer on down, back down to the teens at 16.86, and the 10-year Treasury note sitting pretty cozy at 1.52%. Heading over to sector performance, as you know, there are 11 sectors, and we track the top three and the bottom three, so we can see what that rotation is looking like. We have materials, technology, and industrials leading the way. Holding us down is utilities, consumer staples, and consumer discretionary. I will note that all sectors had gains today. All of them. They were all green, all across. Now, if you are an OG cousin, you know that you can see all of the Come Ups picks at that Come Up series on our Instagram page. Not to be confused with the Come Up series. That's a whole nother other story I don't think we ever told, but okay, anyway. The point is that Lucid was up, Lamb Research, and XPO. Those are the top three. And our bottom three, we have SE, Datadog, and C-Web. Those were the ones that were kind of down today. Well, there were some other ones that were down too, but I did see a lot of gains today.
How are you and your boothing SMH doing over there?
Like SMH. Okay, so SMH was on the couch last week. this week, SMH, we're talking, we're trying to work some things out. We might need to sit in a counseling session. I'm not sure, but I really do feel like SMH just needs its time to, after that huge blowout argument we had, it's starting to get that act right. I think it's going to take a few more quarters, honestly. So this is a long-term, situationship with me and SMH.
Well, I heard that Dr. Marcus got an opening on his couch. So if you need a referral,
the whole gang of SMH.
Hey, if he can deal with all the ego of Tesla and on top of that, Amazon, I think he can handle SMH.
Okay. So Mark, I already gave the cousins the disclaimer. So y'all, you already know a few things. One, you already know that we may not get to questions today because we have such an awesome guest. So, if you have a question, maybe we'll get to it next week. And then another thing, Mark, I'm sorry, this has to go on the record. If you received a DM from me that said, "How is your trading life?" I promise you that was not me. I will never, ever, ever, ever slide in your DM and ask you how your trading life is. I just won't. And so if you see that fake account, please report it and block it. We've had a string of accounts that have been doing the most. And it's not right.
And I'm not going to be the type of person that promises a person like a bunch of things within crypto and Forex and all those other things. That's just not my speed. So if you see me checking for you, then 9 times out of 10, that is not the real me, because I got a bunch of other things to do during the day, and literally sliding into people's DMs is not one of them. So
it's never, I promise you, that will never happen. It will just never happen. So I'm glad we got that all out the way, because now we need to transition. Mark, are you ready?
Transition.
Okay. I'm super excited now. The reason why
Forget Butter's toys in the background. It was a murder scene back there.
So if you were paying attention, you all saw that our guest, the CEO and founder of Puzzle Huddle, aka Matthew Goins, is here in the building. Here he is.
Hey.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you here.
What's up, everybody? I'm blessed. So thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Well, Matthew, I like to, I just called you your full proper name. Now, the last time we saw each other in person, this was pre-panty time, right? Pre-pandemic. And you were about to cross the stage and receive an awesome award at the World Domination Summit to help with the business. That was the last time I saw you.
Yeah, that was 2018. I still had a job.
That was 2018. Well, okay, so what has been going on? We know some things, but I want to hear from your perspective. What has been going on?
In 2018, I launched a puzzle company, and that was in the early phases where I was looking to validate my idea. When you start a new business, a lot of times it's very costly. So it was wonderful to have an opportunity to win a cash prize that they don't call it a pitch competition. They would call it like a idea scholarship or something like that. But I won the idea scholarship, was kind of help put some resources in the bank, but it really helped just give me confidence that the idea didn't only just make sense in my head, it made sense to the world and to strangers, and to, there was some market proof that there was some runway with my concept.
All right, let's back it up a bit. So that was 2018. And Mark, we all know what 2018 was like for you.
Y'all just gonna keep it's just right there in the heart.
We know what it was like for you, but let's back it up a bit, because what was going on? What had you arrived to this idea of, I'm gonna create a puzzle?
Well, it's a part of my parenthood and my family story. I have 3 young kids. They're not as young as they were, but at the point where I had 3 young kids, we were buying the things you buy when you have the kids. You're going to buy some Play-Doh, bubbles, markers, blocks, crayons. You're going to buy all those things. And we bought a couple dozen puzzles as my oldest kid was getting up, had the fine motor skills to be able to assemble a puzzle. But after, and shopping online, it's easy to go overboard. So we went from one puzzle to 30 puzzles pretty fast.
Whoa.
Just because when I find something that seems interesting, shopping online.
Keep going.
Now, what did those puzzles look like?
But the challenge was, after I assembled quite a collection of puzzles for little kids, there was just very little diversity in collection. There was just nothing. At the time, popular in the toy market was Frozen and Elsa and Anna. So there's a lot of Elsa and Anna products that you could buy. But once you get beyond that, there was just very little, almost to the degree that there was none. There's one character from Nickelodeon, Doc McStuffins. So if it wasn't a Doc McStuffins product, there was nothing beyond that. So no ballerina, no scientist, no dentist, no pilot, no race car driver, just nothing. It was Doc McStuffins or nothing. So we had all these puzzles, and I was getting very frustrated that when I went to play with my kids, the images didn't look like them. So I started cutting puzzles out of cardboard is what I started doing. I've always been.
Did you draw them?
No, so this was before I had an idea to sell puzzles. This was just make a puzzle in my living room.
Make a puzzle.
I was Google searching, black girl scientist illustration. I was printing things off of Google. I bought some spray glue, so I was spray gluing them to cardboard, and I was just I'll just cut a couple puzzles and problem solve. So that's what I spent my time doing it. And then looking back, I probably should have been changing diapers and warming up bottles and feeding kids. But I thought I'll spend my day crafting puzzles instead of probably what my wife would have wanted me to do is, why don't you help with these dishes and with the laundry and clean the house? I spent a lot of time cutting puzzles to try to solve that problem at home.
Dope.
So, as you're going through this process of just coming up with this solution, with cardboard, how did you make the jump from okay, hey, this is something that I'm just doing for my kids, to now just kind of envisioning this to that mindset transition of, I wonder, how many other kids could utilize such a product like this?
Yeah, so I've always been a little entrepreneurial, and I have a business degree, so I'm not, my brain can perceive a business opportunity, but that wasn't the important part of the process. What happened was, when parents with young kids often have friends that have young kids, you go through this life stage with a cohort of people so all of your friends have little kids too. So I wanted my friends' kids to have puzzles, but those homemade puzzles I created, they weren't shareable. They weren't something you could put in a Ziploc bag and say, hey, look what I made for your kid. It wasn't a good gift. So I needed a manufacturer to make like a viable commercial puzzle. So once I finally found a manufacturer, I thought, well, maybe let's see if we can sell some of these. So I put up a website and posted on Facebook and got secured the social media handles and just kind of softly launched a puzzle company through my own personal Facebook profile, pointing to my website.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, so once you had that soft launch, so to speak, what happened next?
So where we are now, it's quite a ways from what I was doing in the beginning. The first puzzles we had manufactured, I do not have a manufacturing background. I don't have an illustration background. I don't have a paper products background. None of these things. So the puzzles we were having printed in the beginning were this big. They were as big as my hand. They were 4.5 by 6 inches, and we were putting them. They didn't come in a box. I was putting them in these little snack bags and sealing it and pressing it into a wedding envelope. And I was selling these teeny tiny puzzles. So we did that for a few months, but the idea there was some connection because we were selling them. No, we weren't selling a lot. I might sell 2 of them a day, but but people were buying them. So that really
Right.
motivated me to explore and try to improve the form factor so that we can have something more comparable to what you will buy at a retail store.
So what was that like? Okay, so now so you're going through this process, right? Was there did you ever have any moments of doubt, like when you were getting started, and what was that like? Like, because I know like there's the ups, and then there's the downs, and then there's the in between.
Yeah,
What was that moment where you started to where you saw the transition, but you also were doubting?
Yeah, the fear of embarrassment is pretty profound. Like people want to associate themselves with things that are successful. So to launch, to announce to the world, hey, everybody, I have a puzzle company. People don't know. I don't have any things in my experience that would let people think I could be successful at that. So to say, hey, I know you've never heard of a Black man with a toy company, but look what I'm going to launch a toy company. So a lot of doubt, but also, you don't. I got there through a lot of conviction, and it actually didn't matter if I was going to be successful. I needed to exercise the idea to get the idea out of. It was an internal idea that I needed to activate into the world. So I wanted to be successful, and I was committed to making it successful, but I needed to get the idea out. So success wasn't the requirement. I needed to try. So there's been doubt the whole time. I wanted to step into a space where I was going to be competing with Fisher Price, Hasbro, just like, and who am I? Those companies are decades old. So to think that I could just step into that space, it's important to question yourself. It would be arrogant to not doubt how that's possible.
I have a question for you. So you are an alum of Howard. So shout out all, go crazy in the chat if you are a Howard alum or HBCU alum. Now,
wait, I was going to say that's a three-time alum.
What are the degrees?
I have an undergrad in business and marketing. I met my wife in a master's program studying communications, and then I came back in to get an MBA and focus on human resources.
So, yo, check it out.
So,
first 2 degrees, like marketing and then communications. Hey, your boy here. And then my wife studied human resources.
Wow. Yeah, so I needed to go back to go get married. Like, okay, I got a degree and I found my spouse, which is like, you got to get all the things when you're on the yard. Get your shopping bag up with everything.
How did your experience at Howard shape your mission in this business?
Yeah. Well, I think Howard is HBCU, but I'm going to punctuate Howard, but I don't want to exclude the similar themes from other Black colleges.
Don't worry, Tuskegee is here with you. Don't worry, we got you.
So I affirm everyone's HBCU decision. Awesome, but I'm going to talk about Howard. So at Howard, I think it's awesome in terms of just creating a very vibrant network. You're in school with people that will be business owners, entrepreneurs, lawyers at high-ranking law firms. They're going to go corporate and be high-ranking corporate officials. They're going to go into politics. They're going to be city council, mayoral candidates. So you're in school, like creating this hub, a network this network is going to pay dividends. It's going to be very resourceful for you as you leave the university and go on to do things professionally. But it also gave me a very profound sense of conviction that, if you see and spot a problem in the community, in the world that you're suited to help resolve or address, like, sir, you went to Howard 3 times and you're not going to do the puzzles? Like, okay, who's going to do them? Maybe somebody that went to Howard could do something like this. Maybe somebody that's married to a Black woman with an afro. Maybe that person could deal with this, in a nuanced way. So it also provided the conviction for me that I couldn't, whereas I was trying to pass on the idea. Oh, man,
Let's talk about that.
Because in considering the market opportunity, I wasn't convinced that it was a viable business. I thought maybe this is a hobby, but my life didn't have space for a hobby. It's like I have 3 kids, I have a full-time job, I have a wife. Like I'm busy. I don't need a puzzle hobby. Like if this isn't a business, I don't need it. I got other things to do. I could earn more spending that same access time, increasing my contributions at work. That would have been a better payoff. But the conviction just so
It never leaves.
So I couldn't get away from the idea. It just kept. In fact, in considering my life's journey, I'm looking at this idea and reflecting to memories back to kindergarten. So I'm looking at my kindergarten experience. I'm looking at why was I in the Boy Scouts? Why was I selling blow pops in middle school? Why would incrementally throughout, like my mother's a teacher. Like I had this elementary school mother teacher who taught me about, spending time in play with your kids at the dining room table. So I had and I went to Howard. So this idea was just like haunting me isn't the right idea, but it would not leave me. And I need to get it out of my system and offer it to the world.
So, okay. So the first, before we move on into like some of those transition pieces, I got to ask you, it's going to be an off the wall question. What were some of your favorite childhood books?
So I read a lot of Berenstain Bears, some Shel Silverstein stuff. Of course, Judy Blume. I went through just based on the neighborhood I read a little Dungeons and Dragons growing up. So all the classics. We spent a lot of time. My mother, as a school teacher, we were just loaded with books everywhere.
Nice. Okay, so now we go into. So there's this conviction, doesn't leave you. Now it's like, let's journey forward a little bit. Let's jump in the timeline a little bit. You've officially launched. What's going through your head?
Well,
it's always that deep breath.
Right. So you got to believe, and I'm a Christian. So some of this is a charter and challenge from God. So it's like, God, if it's for me to do this, you own it, man. I'm gonna be obedient and I'm gonna take the steps. I have to take the physical steps, but the success, God, is, hey, bro, God, you told me to do it, so I'm going to do it. So in my mind, I didn't own the success or failure of it. I owned the obedient action.
Gotcha.
So I needed to launch the idea to follow the instructions that I believed I was receiving. So when you
run that, whoa, can you run that back? Because that was like a whole bar. Let's run that quote back again. But you were talking about like the success is not yours in the sense, but it was the obedience part. That was the part that you were. Right.
I needed to be responsible and be a good steward of the idea. I couldn't own the success of it. So I needed to follow the steps and use everything that I knew how to do to try. But whether it was a great success or a failure, I didn't feel like I owned it. I felt like I owned the obedience.
That's really interesting that you bring that up, because the way I look at obedience is the spiritual law. And when you take heed to that spiritual law, you will notice how things line up for you. All of a sudden, things that you thought maybe wouldn't be so, they start to go whoosh, and they're in alignment. So tell us some of those things that resulted from you being obedient that started to align, and you can only explain it by miracle, I guess.
Yeah. When I launched the company, at the corporation I was working at, with all of us, we get a 2-month sabbatical after 7 years of service. So I had a 2-month sabbatical that I was on, and I had a kid, and the company had just launched bonding leave for fathers. So I had 2 months of bonding leave. So plus Christmas vacation, I was off from work for 5 months, fully paid. 5 months I was off from work, fully paid. So that created the brain space for me to say, hey, let's go. Well, you're never going to have 5 months off fully paid ever again. Like that's not happening.
Only do it.
So that's like I got 5 months to go. Like this isn't like let's dibble and dabble. I'm due back to work, and I got 5 months to make this thing go. So that was the, like that. So that it's sort of miraculous, like for that space to clear up, for me to have, financial means and the timing. I should have been spending the 5 months playing, playing with my kids, every minute of the day. But I used some of the time to launch a business. So that, the partnership with the illustrators, I went through a lot of bad experiences with illustrators, but finding the good ones, the manufacturing connections, like a lot of things just started to clear out of the way in a profound way that, I couldn't have made those things happen. I don't have the professional background to have, use my academic capabilities to make them happen. It was they just worked out.
Nice. So what's it like, seeing, especially when you see like folks that post videos or photos of their kids, okay. So what's it like? Like, what's the feeling like when it's like you've seen something that was like, just, something that was like, a vision or something, that conviction now manifesting itself into the lives of children. Now they get to put those pieces together.
Like, I cry all the time. I cry to have made something. And when kids get it, a lot of the parents will send us notes. And a lot of the parents are telling us that when their kid opens the puzzle, that their kid thinks that they're the character in the puzzle. Like, they're saying and we didn't draw this
amazing.
kid. This isn't like we found Jonathan. It was like, okay, let's draw Jonathan. And for kids to receive a toy, and they believe themselves to be the character in the toy, it's just, wow. How do you get that?
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Now, I do want to say, when we were at that summit, World Domination Summit, and you had gifted everyone in the audience, the inaugural puzzle. There was a girl on there, I swear, to this day, I know that was me. I know that was me. Like, you can't tell me it wasn't me. It looked just like me.
It was you.
Okay, thanks. I need to find that puzzle.
But that thing, and then I have parents that have purchased from my website 20 times. So to start a company, like, a lot of people would do me a favor just to support me. They will buy one. Here you go, bro. You got your business. Yeah. I'm gonna buy one. Good luck. Nobody's buying 20 puzzles out of like just a warm pat on the back to just
have it resonates.
Yeah, like, wow, you bought enough. Like, I have people that buy everything we launch. Like, every new puzzle is new, they buy it. So those are the kind of feedback loops that I get that are just like, this is something. Thank the Lord, this is something. It's never financial. Like, the money, I got to make some money because I have a family, but the money things aren't the things that really like kick me like emotionally.
What do your kids think, and how involved are they?
Well, them being involved is synonymous with getting in the way. But I love it. But I love it because they will put the stickers on sideways and they will draw on the boxes, and they're helping. In fact, there was a point in time where the business was located in my house. The warehouse was in my living room, and we had boxes stacked 8 feet high in the living room. So that becomes, to kids, that's a castle. So for months and months and months, our kids had their very own 8-foot castle structure in the living room that they were able to dive off of into the sofa, because our house was a warehouse for several years, actually. So they're involved in nuanced ways like that.
Okay.
Go ahead,
brother.
Oh, So I guess my question for you is that if you were to just go to sleep tonight and then dream the biggest dream of what this looks like at its full scale, and I'm not even just talking about at the business side, because I get it. It's definitely the impact. What does that? How do you envision that impact?
Yeah. So we have a product line that is career images. So it's scientists, doctor, pilot, fireman, just a lot. One day, this is going to take 20 years to get this, for this loop to happen. But I pray that one day I meet a doctor, and in understanding what inspired and motivated them to pursue medicine, there'll be lots of things. But one day I want to meet a doctor, and one of the things be that they had a puzzle with a Black doctor, and that informed their psychology. And because they had that Black doctor puzzle, that somehow got into their thinking and their sensibility, and they pursued medicine because they were inspired by so there's lots of things in the ecosystem that have to line up with that. So a puzzle doesn't produce a doctor, but gosh, if it could be a part of the story. If I meet a doctor 20 years from now, and they say that was one of the things, it'll all be worth it then. It's all worth it now, but that'd just be my.
That's just like that's a life achievement award right there.
Yeah.
What if it's your own kid? What if it's your own children that say that to you?
Well, right now, my son wants to be Spider-Man, and
hey,
all these puzzles I put in front of him, and he said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Spider-Man. So
he can scale buildings and get out of sticky situations. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, so there's a long game we have to play here, because the oldest child is 8, so her maturity and sense of understanding and context is not there to perceive. It's just to me, Dad's going to the post office. Hey, we're going to the post office. Or Dad's got to go. For a long time, my work location was in the basement, so it's Dad's going to work, which meant he's going to be in the basement for a long time. So they don't quite perceive it, the way an adult will perceive it.
Now, how have things, good or bad, how have things impacted, or how has the pandemic impacted your business, good or bad?
Well, in 2020, we talked about the divine alignment. It's awkward to be a business that benefits from tragedy, but we were in an interesting position that as the schools were closing, parents were buying more in-home learning tools than ever before. So if you sold workbooks, puzzles, markers, if you sold something that was education oriented, as those schools were closing, we were selling a lot of puzzles as parents were preparing to support their kids at home. Also that year, we were featuring the Oprah's Favorite Things. And then the third thing that happened was the murder of George Floyd. So in the wake of that, there was just a renewed interest in supporting Black-owned businesses, and everybody was creating lists of Black-owned businesses that could be supported. So we saw, that emphasis on Black-owned businesses also, aligned with, the products we sell. So those 3 things all happened in 2020 that just did it. It just poured lighter fluid on our business. So it's a humbling experience because it's a pandemic and there was a murder of a Black man. So it's awkward, like reconciling that, but with humility, those things also brought interest to my company.
Yeah. What did, like, for marketing, this is a follow-up, Mark, for marketing, how did you leverage that type of, publicity and attention? Like, did you create more puzzles? Like, walk us through like what was going on in your mind, like from a marketing perspective.
Oh, so as the schools were closed, so we were in the market first with these career images, but as the schools were closing, and I was sitting next to my kid, the pandemic and the virtual learner kind of put me in kindergarten because I'm sitting with my kid just to help support their engagement in this tablet that is like not intuitive to them. So I'm in kindergarten again. So I'm learning things the way that they would learn them. So that helped us think differently about our illustrations. So now we have like a shapes, like if every kindergartner needs to learn square, rectangle, oval, heart, diamond. So now we offer more curriculum-based puzzle. Like I have an alphabet puzzle that's coming pretty soon. So that's just creatively, the pandemic helped me think differently about what we were presenting in the puzzles. And then marketing around the George Floyd, it's hard because we were mourning and frustrated and mad and all the other things everybody else was. So it's hard to lean into that. You just gotta, because we're upset too. It's like, man, I don't like this keeps happening to us. So that's something we just kind of survive and grit our teeth and try to empathize with our community because everybody was rightfully upset. Still so during that process.
So going through this process and in your journey, what are some pieces that you take away that you would love to pass on as when it comes to like the lessons learned in this process? What would you say would be those things the knowledge that you would pass on, or just the lessons that you would pass on to entrepreneurs?
Hopefully, if you're starting a business, it could be something that you're excited and passionate about, so that whether you're winning or losing in business, hopefully there's some satisfaction in having a chance to do your idea. If it's only for financial gain, if the financial gain isn't there, you might get frustrated and quit. But if you're doing something that you feel like you're supposed to do anyway, that can help drive your activity, even in moments where the financial reality or the benefit might not be obvious. So it's to the degree that you can find something that you're passionate and excited about, whether you make a huge income with the idea or not. That's one thing. And then you got to get the idea out of your head. You'll learn so much more through the process of business execution than you ever will thinking about it. So at some point, of course, think about it. So do that. Do the critical thinking and the research and the validation. But you also have to start doing the thing, and you'll learn a lot more through the process of doing.
So how has this business and mission and dream, all of that, like how has it made you think about wealth building, like from a generational perspective?
Well, so this having a small business kind of puts me in a peer group with a lot of other small businesses. So I'm observing small business owners differently than I probably would have been as a non-business owner. So I see that to the degree that they share and that I have a chance to speak with them, I see some of the financial decisions and whether they're bootstrapped and self-owned or whether they seek investment, if they go through rounds of funding and venture capital. It all plays in front of my eyes differently now that I own a business in a way that I probably wasn't watching or perceiving it without owning a business. It all seems to be a matter of preference and strategic decision making. You could bootstrap and own your own business and have wild success, or you could go the investment route and seek venture capital support and build a big business that way. There's no right or wrong to it. It's kind of what you prefer and the way you want to execute.
And how did you go about it? And how did you decide that was the way you wanted to go?
Oh, it is something I change my mind about every 3 months. So right now, at this moment, fully self-funded, fully self-owned. But interesting, and this isn't the right way to make strategic decisions. But I do the headline reading. You see these headlines: X company fund Series A, 8 million. Other company exits 10 million. And you see these rounds and you wonder, these are lots of millions of dollars. I have a profitable company. Should I pursue that? Now there's benefit and consequence to it. So I have decided to not pursue it, but some of the headline reading and also what I learned about business is reading the headlines does not tell the story. If you were to read the headlines about my business, you wouldn't. You would miss a lot. Like, but you see the headline, but what really happened was and I lost 10 grand. So it really puts everything really present and thinking, but you can't reassess your business strategy every day. That's not the right way to spend your time. So we made decisions for the medium term and execute on that, and then I put my head up and rethink. Should I pursue investment? Should I let go of the reins? Would you rather own a whole grape or a quarter of a watermelon?
Or a piece of watermelon?
Did I get that from you? I just heard. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's listening all the time.
I do not take credit for that quote. So
that's not mine. I heard somebody say it, so I'm just repeating what I heard recently. So you have to decide whether you want the whole grape or the quarter of the watermelon. It's your life. You get to decide. So those are things that come up in my thinking every couple months or so.
So let me ask you this question. Like, for example, you know, if, you know, let's just say if you were funded in a seed round or a Series A round, you know, what would that look like? So would we like, how would you extend, say, for example, the business, or how would you scale the business? Would you go beyond puzzles? Would you go into puzzles for even older ages? You know, what would that look like?
Yeah. So when the
AR?
yeah, there's lots of adjacencies that are, you know, that if you own a puzzle company or a toy company, it's not hard to brainstorm your way to, you know, blankets, pillows, shower curtains, floor mats, table mats, book bags, pillowcases, just all the things associated with school and learning. So that's easy brainstorming. And then there are digital products that could also align with and then there's books, and you know, the quality and of the illustrators. There are celebrity artists and illustrators that, you know, have a branding of their own. So to hire increasingly capable and you know, famous celebrity artists to illustrate for our company. There's lots of, if I had more money, there's lots of fun things I would do. Even like PR, a well-funded company can hire a PR agency and, you know, end up in all the magazines and TV shows through a professional service. I don't have that professional skill, so I get the PR that I stumble upon through, you know, posting on social media. So there's, some money, more money would help me do some things, but then, you know, the loss of equity and the control. So it's not a one-sided consideration. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, good to know.
Well, Jolene, would you like to tell Matthew about the poll?
Oh yes. So so Matt, you already know we had talked about this briefly a couple weeks back, but so we just had a poll. I don't know if you're paying attention, but the question was, should there be a come up series puzzle? And over 90% of those watching said yes. So
we need them to tell us but then what? So what becomes the concept? Is it, you know, some financial statements, or what would be a picture of the stock market? I don't know what would be intuitive or match thematically, but
I'll just say this, like, you definitely are in the business of, you know, educational tools that are culturally relevant. However, what I think you're really doing is teaching whoever comes across your puzzles, you're teaching them how to love their own image. So
that's a fact.
Whatever is on that puzzle that represents the come up series or whatever, just the image alone. I can't tell you right now how many. I know that when we get off this live, I know that I'm going to have several messages from all the parents of the kids who
happening right now.
Right now. Like, I want to be like Matt when I grow up. Like, I want to have a business. I want to build a castle in my living room. You know, like, they're going to be seeing those types of things. So really, it's about whatever image, whatever illustration that causes them to fall in love with themselves, the image of themselves every single day. That is what will be puzzle.
Yeah, that's great feedback. I realized pretty early that I'm a puzzle company at the surface level, but really I'm an inspiration and a firm. Like, yes, puzzles is the primary form factor, yes, but that's not the mission of it. We're affirming and inspiring young people, and sometimes adults. So thank that. I like the way you said that. I'm going to listen to that when I get a chance to go back and replay.
You have to get a 500-piece puzzle.
Yeah, you know, every now and then someone will see me a picture with their grandparent doing a puzzle, and gosh, like, to see, you know, someone 60, 70 plus, 80 plus putting one of my puzzles together, it's just like, wow, how did that happen? So we have grandmother customers as well, great grandmothers probably.
That is so awesome. I just really appreciate what you're doing. You know, whenever the Jolene Juniors decide to grace this earth, they will definitely see themselves. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the world that is being created, you know, before they even arrive.
Yeah, and I hope if anybody's interested in my business story, on my YouTube channel, we hired this video production team. So we film ourselves doing the business of Puzzle Huddle, and we're going to do a series around Christmas. I hope to do 8 episodes, kind of, you know, from early November to, you know, December, capturing like what it's like, because Christmas creates a lot of activity for my company. So we're going to do a video series around shipping Christmas, and it's you know, it's a lot of interesting personality, like getting to really know your UPS person and your post office person, because they're there all the time when you're doing a lot of shipping. So we're hopefully your audience will come check out my Christmas holiday business series, because we're
throw it out there. What is the name of the YouTube channel?
Just the Puzzle Huddle YouTube channel.
There you have it. Puzzle Huddle YouTube channel.
Yeah, hopefully the videos are cool and entertaining, and we plan to have a good time. You'll see some of the sweat. The elf workshop, getting all those orders out for Christmas is it's a very busy time.
Have you had any supply chain issues, logistics?
That was going to be the next thing I was going to ask.
So yeah, so we found that the most cost-effective manufacturing strategy for us was to get our puzzles manufactured overseas. So we manufacture in China. COVID began to create gridlock in China before it created gridlock in the U.S. And then the current year that we're having. So we're three years worth of COVID infrastructure gridlock that is slow to. It's painful to have Christmas coming. Christmas only comes once a year, and to not have the products that you're going to sell. Like, for people to be messaging you, how come you're sold out? And it's not because you sold a lot of things. It's because you never had them in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just like,
man.
It's like, I remember even being featured in Oprah's Favorite Things. We did not have the inventory. We did not to really make good on the opportunity. And it wasn't because we didn't think ahead of time. It was because our product sat in customs for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Like you expect, you know, customs will happen. That's a normal part of importing. The expectation would be my products would be inspected by customs a week. 2 weeks is a long period. To have your product sit at the port for 2 months.
That's a killer.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, wow, we're in Oprah's Favorite Things, and we did not have the products we were expecting to have to really make good on the marketing. So yes, you asked about the global supply chain. Yeah, but hey, we live to fight another day. We live, we survive, we get through it, and we're still here.
So, this is interesting because I feel like we're going to have a part 2 of this conversation. I feel like this is going to definitely have to be a part 2. And the reason why I want to say that we should have a part 2 is because of the fact that, you know, I definitely want to follow. We want to follow along in this journey. You know, we definitely want to follow along in this journey. And, you know, we hope to also be a part of it in some fashion, some way. But it's amazing. It's truly, truly amazing because of the fact that, you know, when I hear your story, it doesn't sound it sounds very similar to many of the stories that I hear as it pertains to discussing the journey. And the beautiful thing about the journey is you're not really thinking about the end destination. You're thinking about the actual having, like taking the moment to say, hey, I'm enjoying this journey. I'm embracing the journey. Everything that I have that's part of the dream is this actual journey that I'm on. And it's like, it's so inspiring to really like sit back and hear that, because, you know, it's very refreshing, especially when you sit in and you talk to other startups and all they think about is like really like the focus towards the end goal destination. And it's like, the question is it really that fulfilling? Is it really that impactful? Like yours It's like you made it very clear and very evident. It goes beyond product. It goes to the social impact. It really plays number one goal is social impact. It was interesting when we brought up even the potential collaboration. The first thing that you thought about was the impact.
Yeah, it's an awesome space to be in. Like, sure, I'm not like naive to the necessity of income and financial resources, right? So I have to have that. I got 3 kids and they eat a lot of Eggo waffles and pizza. So the grocery bill is high. Like, it would be nice to do some fun things with my spouse, and so right. And then you got soccer and ballet, and my girls are in gymnastics class. So there's life costs money. So I'm not naive to that. So I got to make some money. But that is not like. That's not the most, like, making a difference is way more interesting. Like, hopefully, like, I plan on paying my bills and I got to do that. But the difference I can make is much more motivating and exciting. To hear about a kid that thinks they're the character in the puzzle, that's way better than the $5 I made off of the sale.
All day, any day. I would take what. If a child can look at a puzzle piece, it's kind of like, and then kind of have that feeling that they're looking at themselves in the mirror through a puzzle piece. You can't recreate that any way possible. You wouldn't change that. I wouldn't change that for the world.
Yeah, and one day I'm going to meet a doctor and I'm going to say, man, what kind of toys did you like growing up? I had a Puzzle Huddle when I was 5. And that's the day I decided I was going to be a doctor. One day, somebody's going to tell me they're a doctor, and Puzzle Huddle was a part of the motivation.
It's going to happen on a Wednesday in the afternoon.
Yeah, so 73 degrees, and the wind will be blowing.
So, normally I'm the type of person that does the benediction here, but honestly, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't pass it on. I pass it on to you, brother. Like, if you could, like, if you're speaking to, if you could say anything to the kids, because we do have kids that are on the Come Up series that watch the show. Mm-hmm. And then 2, if you could say something to their parents, what would that message be?
Yeah. Okay. So what we hope to do is expand create exploration opportunities for kids. It would be a silly exercise to try to telegraph your kid into a specific career path like that. That's not what we're doing when we share Dr. Images. But the exposure and the awareness and the opportunities and expanding their thinking, so that it has the chance to stick. Maybe they might be a doctor, maybe they might be a lawyer, maybe they might be a plumber. But we want our kids to have a wide range of options, the chance to be exposed to different career paths, so they can make a decision that aligns with their passions and interests, and something that will make them happy pursuing that. So that's what we want to do. And just, gosh, this is our chance to make a difference. Like, there's a lot of other things, and really what drives our company is the parents, the moms and dads, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the teachers, the line sisters, like the whole ecosystem of people that support a child. Because moms are at one customer category, but auntie, uncle, grandparent. I have grandparents that are DMing me asking how to send a check to the company to pay for the products. So we want to support and serve the entire community, and hopefully the dividends we'll see them 20 years from now. And I got here through. I had to wrestle with the idea, but I feel like I was fortunate to have this insight, and my whole life aligned. I sold blow pops. I got suspended from school from selling blow pops because it was not a school sanctioned activity. And I just had a number of things, like all the things in my life. Like I like to go to Michael's and to Joanne Fabrics. How many brothers do you, when I go to Michael's, I won't be seeing brothers up in there. That's not.
I can't stand going there with my wife, so I will definitely tell you that.
Yeah, brothers not up in Michael's, not really. But these are things that like were a natural part of who I was. So like my life aligned with this idea, and I got a chance to activate, and so far, I like to say I've been successful doing it. I don't have a job. I get to do this. And my wife still loves and cares for me. She never asked to be an employee of no puzzle company, but through proximity, she was a great helper to help me achieve results.
That's
it. Follow me on YouTube. That's what I want to say.
Matt,
you can find him on Instagram.
I was gonna say, so you also have an IG, right? Puzzle Huddle, at Puzzle Huddle on IG.
Yeah, we got 150,000 followers. So I put all my business on Instagram. That's the lifeline of my business. So it's that is where that drives most of my sales is Instagram. So we invest a lot in it.
Okay. So Matt, thank you so much, because honestly, it's like your journey is inspiring, brother.
Really is.
Your journey is inspiring. What you do is inspiring. You know, it's like to think about like many of the great ideas, you know, I guess one of the biggest takeaways that I've had in this conversation, that it always kind of like just always hits home, especially as entrepreneurs, all ideas start off somewhat like kind of like ugly because of the fact that there's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But then that idea goes from like, you know, this, I'm wrestling with this, to now it just blossoms into something beautiful. And I think that what you have here is beautiful. Like you've created something that is like literally art within itself. It's a timestamp in history in which that we can go back and we can look at, where children will be able to draw the thesis or the genesis of, you know, hey, I want it to be this. Why? Because I remember doing this puzzle on my grandmother's floor, even if I may have lost one of the pieces, but I still remember putting the pieces together to literally, you know, formulate an image that looked like me, and said, you know what, I can do that. You know, that is incredible. And so honestly, like I said, you will be back on here. there will be a follow-up episode for sure. Please keep us up to date as it pertains to like the, you know, the merch and everything else. Like if there's anything that we can send out, let me know.
No, you guys have been a big blessing to me. This has been great.
I want to say personally that, well, one, I do want to shout out our boy Christopher P. Moore in the building, because he's watching right now. Hey, Chris, because of the part that he played in just being, he was in a position at the right time, like on a board, who made decisions, who was an advocate. And I just want to, and also connected us. So I'm honored to have that connection through Cousin Chris, and also the circumstance for which we all met was historical. With being, you know, the first two Black people, woman and man, to receive that award. And so I'm just so honored, you know, that I know you. It's so cool to know you, and to know that you have a heart shape for the community, and that you really care, and you deserve every single success that has befallen you. You deserve every single piece of it. So
100%.
Thank you for being on the show.
Wow. Oh, this was the right thing I needed before I go check my email and figure out whose package was lost by the post office. And I'm like, oh gosh. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. Keep inspiring. And for each and every single one of you at home, you know, again, if you want to be in the know for when Puzzle Huddle drops new merch or new puzzle pieces, be sure to go check them out on Instagram at Puzzle Huddle. You can also check out Puzzle Huddle on YouTube as well, because we're definitely going to be looking forward to those episodic pieces that kind of like give you the story behind the scenes of like really what makes everything go, especially during the holidays. So that should be quite the treat. I know I'll share it on my social media, so just know that it'll definitely be something that we will watch, and I'm probably sure my wife will be like, oh, okay.
And whether you have kids or don't have kids, if you somebody auntie or play aunt, or if you know some kids at your
Go
church,
get it.
yeah,
Go
just
get a
check out
puzzle.
my website. Yeah, go check it.
Well, it's actually funny because puzzles really do not only that, but it's like the basics of a puzzle is like, it stimulates the mind.
Mhm.
It stimulates the mind. So, honestly, it's like you never know what type of seeds that you may plant, and then that also what may come around and water those seeds and make them turn into beautiful things. So this could just be one of those starts. So go check it out. 100%. Thank you so much, Matthew, for being on the show. Again, we will see you again here in the very near future. But for each and every single one of you, thank you so much, because lo and behold, this show, that's what's up. And so until next time, I am Mark Monroe.
Matt, we have a tradition here, Matt, where you have to say what cousin you are.
Yeah, what kind of cousin are you?
I'm probably, I know I was rambling today, but I'm like the quiet cousin that's up to something good. I'm not terribly chatty in real life, but if you put me on YouTube, then I can't chat. But in real life, in real form, I'm not that chatty. But I'm
You're the quiet cousin.
Yeah, I would
Quiet cousin up to something good. I like that.
And I'm Julie GP, and the place to be.
And y'all, this has been your come up. We will see you on Tuesday, but just know this: come back and rewatch this episode, because for sure,